Everyone. My name is Maribel Garcia Gonzalez. I am a student success advisor here at the college, and I'm going to be doing a workshop. You belong here, a workshop for first generation college students. So throughout the presentation, feel free to write me in the chat. We can kind of interact that way. Or if you feel comfy, you can absolutely just, unmute yourself and ask questions, comment throughout the presentation, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is share my screen and we can get started. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Someone write me in the chat and let me know. Yes, perfect. Thank you, ma'am. All right. So before we get started, I just want to, you can comment in the chat or let me know if you meet yourself. Who here is first gen? So first, I am first gen as well. I am a Middlesex College alumni. I was a student here a long, long time ago. So first gen means you are the first in your family to go to college to pursue a higher education. Okay. All right. Oh, awesome. Yep. Okay, awesome. So I'll tell you, I guess, my little short story in 30 seconds. It'll be a little bit of a challenge. So I am first gen in my family. I applied here to be a student. Back in 2011-ish. I remember when I first applied and on my application, I decided on my major right then and there. I didn't have too much of a career guidance or advice or anyone to really go to. So, it can be difficult at times, but I have found a lot of support here, and I'm trying to do a lot to show up for first gen students in ways that I would have liked others to show up for me. So that's why I'm here and hopefully get something out of this workshop today. All right, so I want to emphasize, this workshop is this whole week is for our new students, but this is also open to our current students. So whether you're new or current, we're here to support you along your journey. College is here to serve you, really to help you accomplish your personal and professional goals. It's, this is a wonderful space to be in. I do highly recommend to take advantage of it, be curious, ask questions, take initiative. So I do want to talk to you about what Middlesex College does for our first generation college students, how we support you. So Middlesex College is the first Scholars Network college. So what that means is the college has agreed to do more for our first gen students, whether that's initiatives to show through data, through numbers, that we are here supporting students that are on this first gen journey. So to create strategies. I'm actually on the first gen council here at the college. So there's different goals that we are hoping to work towards. So for example, potentially having a orientation for our first gen students. In the committee I'm in, I oversee working to create events and programming for our first gen students. So definitely something to look forward to and to see the loop about. And then I just wanted to show you this. These are just some of the members of the First Gen Council that are here and are definitely supporting our First Gen students. So we have a mix of professors, faculty, admin. Now, something I also want to emphasize is Tri Alpha, our First Gen Honor Society here at the college. So when students meet certain amount of credits, 30, and we're looking for after completion of those credits, if you meet a certain GPA, you will be invited to participate and join in our honor society. There's quite a few benefits to it. Includes a mentorship program, a graduation stool, certain programming and events. Now, something I also just want to emphasize that, while you may be invited to join later on during your academic career here, you will be open to attend events and anything that Tri Alpha has. So, we're absolutely welcoming, while you're working to hopefully maybe be inducted and invited to the Honor Society. Something to also really look forward to as a first gen student here at the college is First Gen Celebration Day, which is hosted every year on like November 8th. That's like the national day for First Gen Celebration. So this year we actually were awarded a small grant, so some money to kind of invest into that First Gen Day. So what we got out of it, we had like t-shirts, pins, these hats. So like First Gen merch that we were kind of giving out to the attendees that what came to this event. So we had programming, like for example, we had a first gen fireside chat where you can kind of talk to other first gen students and, network. So I do want to talk to you a little bit more about like some tips and tricks to be successful here as a student. So definitely always have an email trail of your conversations with different departments, professors, whoever you're kind of in communication with within the college. Always email from your Middlesex Outlook email. So that's going to serve as your identity confirmation. So if you email anyone from a Gmail or Yahoo, they will not get back to you through that. It has to be through your Middlesex Outlook account, okay? So always email from there. Always ask for clarification for your questions. It's okay to follow up, ask when, where, how. There is really no dumb question. Better for you to ask and follow up than to kind of not know and kind of stay wondering, what if I would have asked? What if that, having all those scenarios in your head? Even if it seems like it's something basic or you feel silly about it, don't. This is literally what we are here to do, answer your questions, refer you to where necessary. Like I always tell students, I may not have all the answers, but I can refer you to where you need to go for next steps. The worst case scenario is you receive a no and you lose nothing. Okay, so I do want to just emphasize some college terminology just so you can be familiar with some terms. So a lot of times, I myself didn't know what double majoring meant until like I was at a four-year university and after I transferred. Double majoring is when a student has two different majors, and you can pursue that and complete those requirements. Now, here at our level, we do not recommend double majoring if you are planning on transferring to a four-year university. So if you have two strong interests or you think two majors will complement what you're hoping to do later on, definitely focus on, if you're planning on transferring, one major here, and then you can declare a second major at the four-year level, okay? Now, a dual degree is two different bachelor's degrees or associate's degrees. What that happens, I guess, at a higher level is sometimes students are enrolled in two different schools within the college. So for example, I'm just going to say Rutgers because that's a common one we receive here. We'll have a student enrolled at Rutgers School of Arts and Sciences, and maybe they want to be enrolled in, the School of Engineering. So two different programs, two different schools within the Rutgers, and they'll end up with like a dual degree. Now, you may also hear the word auditing, of course. So that's when students do not want to, or they want to take the course, but they don't want any credit for it. So if you're hoping to get an associate's degree or get some credits, to move on to somewhere else, when you audit a class, you will not get the credits for it, or like you won't get graded for it. So if someone asks you on audit and you're hoping to get a grade and get those credits, you do not want to audit, of course. Now, a department chair is the head of a department, of an academic department. So for example, sometimes when students have certain situations within, the class, let's just say they're having trouble with English or a professor, there's a concern there, we may refer to communicate with the department chair. So that is the person that kind of oversees like the English faculty, the English department, okay? So I also want to talk a little bit about assistantship. So those are opportunities that students may receive to work for the college at a higher level. There's graduate assistantships. So for example, I was a graduate assistant back when I was in grad school. At our level, we do have a work study program. So if you are eligible for, financial aid, you can apply for a federal work study position. So that kind of means there's opportunities around the campus to work within like a department and to kind of get some experience in like the professional college field. So previously we've had work studies in my department. Okay. So succeeding in the classroom, it's going to be really important that you have access to your Middlesex Outlook email. Okay, I know I emphasized a little bit before, but it's really, really important. If you do not have that access or you're having trouble logging in, communicate with IT so they can help you reset so you can gain access, because that is where you're going to receive emails from the college, the professors, anything related to your student account, or if you want to ask anything about your student account, has to go through the email, the Middlesex Outlook email. Okay. I'm going to highlight how important it is to use your resources here at the college. So that includes, using the tutoring services at no additional cost. So you can use that service, whether that is, for a tough assignment, reviewing, some study materials, just asking like a simple question, use that as it's there for you. You can potentially ask your professor for extra credit, that they may say yes, they may say no, but same thing I mentioned earlier, you lose nothing by asking. Taking advantage of the instructor's office hours. So there are office hours here at the college now. So some instructors will have specific hours where they're assigned to kind of be in their office, whether it's, it might be in person or virtually, they'll have some time assigned where they are supposed to be there to answer your questions and concerns. So if you ever want to kind of speak to the professor more privately, maybe not in front of the whole class, you can look into those office hours. If you know ahead of time that you are going to miss a class, definitely communicate with at least, have at least one person or two that you can ask to share notes with, so that way you can kind of catch up or see if there's anything that you missed that day. Now, if you're ever going through a unique, complicated situation that may merit, you being away from your classes for a bit, or if something's kind of going on, I would recommend to try to be as transparent as you are, as you feel comfortable, as you're willing to be, to kind of share that with the professor, just because the professor, if they are in the loop, sometimes they will accommodate, make adjustments to your work or to whatever is going on to help you be successful. Okay. So it's also going to be really important as a student year to understand the college rules and policies, how things work here at the college level. So I highly recommend, planning your courses as soon as the schedule is released. So that means if you're planning to register for, fall, making sure you're registering for the classes, at the end, the schedule will be released at the end of March. So getting on that to make sure you get the best top pick of your classes, the best times, the best location that you're hoping to do. So that way you don't get stuck at the end with like leftover classes that may not be at the best times for you, with the subjects that maybe you weren't hoping to take that specific semester. So always be on top of that. Yes, so getting your classes when you want them, how you want them. Also something to keep in mind is that I mentioned the registration for the fall will be released at the end of March, but you can register at that time and not have to pay at that time. So you can register and the tuition bill date is not the same, okay? So it gives you time, whether it's like you're figuring out financial aid, you have time to figure out like setting up a payment plan or looking more into your options. And you can check our website for updates for the dates on the menu. If you go to the Middlesex College website, my Middlesex academics registrar and important dates. Okay, so I think I've spoken quite a bit. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? You can let me know, or if you want to add anything, or if I'm going too fast, let me know. Okay, so you received a question or anything. Okay, so we can continue. And if anything comes up, you can just feel free to write me in the chat. So sometimes I'll get questions as, the new semester approaches, and once the semester approaches, they're like, well, is it too late for me to register for this class? I was already met once. Well, if they had a first meeting and it's that first week, there is some leniency. No guarantee that the professor will say yes to join, but you can communicate if there's an open seat for that specific class you're hoping to get into from Middlesex email, asking to join that class with the section number and all that important class information. If the professor says yes, then that permission will be good for 24 hours, and then you are allowed to you know, have that forwarded over to us, or you bring it to us in person and we can take a look. And then if you got the okay, we can still register you within usually that first week. It becomes a little more complicated getting more people involved after that first week of when the semester begins, but that is something to know. So if it's the first week of classes, we can't just register you into it. You have to ask that permission from the professor. Okay. So you can definitely take a look at your degree progress on your own. We're more than happy to help you, but if you ever were curious to know where am I, what else do I have missing, you can sign into your self-service account with your login information credentials. And on your progress page, you'll be able to see how far along you are. And on your progress page is going to list your requirements, no one else's requirements. So just for you, just for your major. Okay. If you want to meet with us for assistance, you're definitely feel free to come in. We're located in West Hall, second floor. These days we're in Parkview, but definitely you can plan out things on your own. But if you ever just a little hesitant or you just want to get a further confirmation from us that you're good to go, feel free to follow up with us through email or stop by in person. And then if you visit us, just try to have your login information ready because sometimes we'll have students sign in on their computer. And if you don't know your login, it's going to be a little bit of an issue. Okay. So if you are planning on transferring to a 4-year university, definitely, and you have like a target school in mind, definitely let us know when you meet with an academic advisor or anyone that's helping you with, you know, classes. You know, sometimes there's specific classes that you know your target school may prefer. So, you know, for example, like we'll have a common class like a computer applications class and sometimes like a higher level computer intermediate PC applications of programming. So it's kind of given us two options, but depending on sometimes where you want to go, that may change for certain majors. What we recommend. So definitely, you know, bring that up if you have a target school, or even just bring up, hey, I'm thinking of transferring if you don't know the specific school. So we could just make sure you are in a transfer friendly major because some majors are not that transfer friendly. Okay, and this is what we're getting into. We have AA degrees, Associate of Arts, AS degrees, Associate Science. You know, some degrees are not as transfer friendly, so that is like an AAS degree, Associate of Applied Science. With the Associate of Applied Science, there are some that may be an exception to the rule, but that's why it's important to talk to us so we can figure out if you are on the right track. Okay, so I also want to emphasize some common misconceptions. So about like college, sometimes it's often thought of, oh, you have to finish this associate's degree in 2 years. So like your time here at Middlesex in 2 years. Well, yes, if that is your target, your goal to finish in 2 years, and we just got to make sure we plan it out that way. But if you take 2 years and a half, if you take 3 years, that's all right too. You know, we each have our own journey, and depending on what life is like, that may change. I guess another misconception is that you have to complete your associate's degree by, you know, graduating here. You have to complete your associate's degree before transferring. That's not necessarily the truth, but there are benefits to completing your associate's degree before transferring. Okay. Another misconception is that you can only buy your textbooks from our bookstore. You can use our bookstore, but if you find somewhere else that has a better price or works best for better for you, feel free to use that too. Yeah, when I was a student, I just bought my books off like Amazon or wherever I found. Okay, another misconception is that you can only take classes here on the main campus, Edison. You could take classes here, you could take classes in New Brunswick Center, you can take classes at the Perth Amboy Center too. And we also have like online classes that don't have Zoom. We have some classes that may have a Zoom as well. So it's all Middlesex College. All the credits are the same. It counts for the same. And then lastly, you know, that you should have it all figured out, you know, right when you start. No, it's a journey. We're all learning, we're all growing, and we're doing things as best we can. So it's all right if you don't have everything all figured out. Okay, this is what I mentioned before. You know, if you want to graduate within a certain time frame, planning will be necessary. Okay. So I also want to emphasize how important it is to make connections. So whether that's, with your classmates, friends, later on your friends or people in your peers in your classes are really good to have as like professional connections, especially in the beginning when you have a mix of all different students, peers that are doing all different types of majors. It's really awesome to see as the years go on that now, you're uh the person that was like a history major next to you is now like a teacher at a school, or someone that was, that you took an English class with is now, going to law school. So it's really great to try to build those connections early because later on this is going to be like your professional network. So I also emphasize trying to create like your LinkedIn account, whether it's connecting just with your classmates to kind of just stay in touch. Connecting with your professors is also important. So little things like, saying good morning, good afternoon to them, saying thank you, being polite. If there's a professor in a subject that you liked, the way they taught, consider maybe taking another class that they're teaching if it's doable. That way you kind of build a rapport with them. So they'll know, oh, this is so and so. I've had them before. They're good to work with. Same thing using those office hours. That way they get to know you. One of my professors here at Middlesex wrote my graduate school recommendation letter. So, it's important to maintain those connections as best as possible. It could be references later for you if you're applying for jobs or an internship or, scholarships, anything you might need. So it's good to try to do those like small little gestures that show that, you're open to communicating and, that you're a good student. That shows that you care. I'm looking into clubs and organizations. So, that's connecting with like clubs, organizations, joining something to kind of build rapport with other people. So I know, I think it's the week, 2 weeks from now, there's going to be like a Stay Connected fair. So that's when many of the clubs and organizations kind of like go out and kind of give more information to our students about what they're about. I think last year, I think it was might have been outside, but it might be at the cafeteria this year. You should get more information on it in the coming weeks. But try to join and stop by. They won't make you join anything, but you'll look and maybe you will be interested in something. Okay. Now for honor societies, if you are, if that does look good, you can put that on like your resume and curriculum. So it's always a plus if you're able to participate and join one of those. With honor societies, you will likely need to be invited to join into one of those honor societies. Usually, there's a process. If you meet the prerequisites, you'll be on the list that they'll communicate out with, saying, once you meet the criteria, whether it's a certain amount of credits or, GPA, then you'll receive like an email and will invite you to consider joining. So you'll hear from honor societies later on, I'm sure. Final reminders always apply to scholarship opportunities here at the college. There's like a scholarship application. Once the semester begins, do not drop classes on your own. Come get help. Sometimes when students are receiving financial aid, that can kind of create a little bit of it may be impacted. So to double check, triple check to make sure everything's good, don't drop on your own, ask for help. Or maybe there's a way we can swap it out depending on when you want to do that. So, don't make any changes right after the semester begins. Before the semester begins, you can make changes. After, do not. Okay. And I also want to emphasize the unique perspective that first gen students bring. So I know it can be tough to speak up, especially when you feel like sometimes, or at least in my case, I felt like I didn't know everything. Maybe what I was saying was silly or didn't matter. But the truth is, later on, as I grew in my academic career professionally, I realized that, the perspective that we bring is important and it can kind of bring insight to other people and it brings something really important to the table. So definitely share your perspective and it definitely will make you stand out in a good way. Lastly, if you have not submitted, like if you're planning to apply for financial aid or you're still in the process of it, definitely submit your FAFSA application, even if it's a little bit later right now. If you need help, schedule a FAFSA on demand appointment and they can someone from the financial aid department can help you complete it. Okay. Does anyone have any questions or concerns?